Greetings, millionaires and future millionaires. I'm Lane Bean, a 28-year retired lieutenant colonel and former F-16 pilot. In the last 20 years, I side hustled one single family house into an apartment portfolio that includes almost 900 units. Today, I want to share with you my experiences, my results, and my resume of myself and our team to help you build confidence in what we're offering and bring confidence in our investments. So let me start by telling you that when I started in single family, I had the mentality of do it yourself. I was a typical DIY type of person. I was the plumber, I was the electrician, I was the salesman, I was the marketer, I was everything. Thank goodness for YouTube. I learned a lot on how to do those things. As I transitioned from single family investor to multifamily investor, I took that same mentality. I'm going to do everything myself and save money. I spent 2 or 3 years chasing my tail until I learned this very important principle that is the foundation of our business today. And that's this. Multifamily requires a good team. And I like to say this also, is when you work with professionals, they make you money. When you work with amateurs, they cost you money, and I can tell you that from experience. So I'm bringing all this together today for this reason that's very important, is we have assembled a team at Pilot Legacy Private Equity Group like no other. It has almost 100 years of combined experience in the major components of real estate investing: asset management, ownership and syndication, property management, development, operations, construction management, repair and maintenance. Those three key components are 99.9% of successful real estate investing, and we have a good team. So in the next couple of minutes, I want to go through those components of successful business, real estate investing, and I want to show you some slides to give you hard data on things that we have done and things that we have accomplished, so that you can due diligence us and let the results speak for themselves. So I want to start with a component of what I work on: asset management, investor relationships, strategy for real estate. And I want to bring up the very first slide. And as I bring this slide up, I'll point out a couple of significant things that I'm very proud of. All right, so the top of this slide says asset management and results, and this is what I'm responsible for in Pilot Legacy Private Equity Group. The table on the right shows my experiences in ownership and in syndication. I started in 2001 with single family, and through today's date you can see what we've had there. I've got 15 years of Pilot Properties, which is the company I formed to own these entities well before I formed Pilot Legacy Private Equity Group, which was 3 years ago. So a couple of things to point out on this as you review this table. As you can see here, the industry experience that I've operated and syndicated: 15 different assets totaling 933 units. The value is about $1 million in the industry field. I'm also a member of my city council, which helps me understand the city's ordinance, the city's design, the city's development plan, which has been quite honestly, very productive and very helpful for me. So that's what I have in experience, and you can see the assets on the table that indicate those results. As far as the performance goes, let me talk about what I've owned in the sold category and the current category of the table there. and these are the assets of multifamily. So let me talk about the assets that I've owned, and they're identified in the sold and the current category. These are the multifamily assets that I pursued in the beginning of 2010 and acquired my first property in 2013. I went on to purchase the Heights Apartments in 2015. That was a value add strategy that we were able to go in and buy that asset in a centralized or in a fantastic location. We made some significant improvements to it, and we refinanced 2 years later after ownership for a 95% return on capital. We sold that 4 years later in 2019 in an expanding market. That property proudly also won the Property of the Year in 2017 by the Apartment Association of Tarrant County. And I make note of that because out of 1,500 assets in Tarrant County, that was identified as number one. So very, very proud of the Heights Apartments. We went on to buy the Holly Oaks Apartments, and this was a core plus strategy in Weatherford, Texas, west of Fort Worth. We sold that 2.5 years later for a 31% IRR and a 2.2 equity multiple. So very, very productive with that purchase. The Barclay Apartments was a 1927 asset purchased on Forest Park, kind of by the Tarrant or the Texas Christian University campus. And we bought that for $1 million. We sold it 2.5 years later for $2.1 million. Again, another value add strategy. We sold that as a portfolio with the Heights Apartments in an expanding market. And I say expanding market, that's important to understand because that's asset management, that's exit strategy, and that's real estate cycle understanding. And I think that we made a good call on those. What are our current assets and what are they doing? We have the Heritage Heights 35 unit complex in Denton, Texas. This is a core plus strategy located in Denton. It's not student housing, but it is very educational dependent. And we're working on that project and exiting that project within the next 18 months. We've also got the Bricks Apartments. This is a value add strategy in Uptown Dallas. We refinanced that at the 2.5 year point for 105% return on capital. We really were able to take advantage of that expanding market and a very great location. We then purchased the Ridgely Square over on west side of Fort Worth as a value add. This was a gut renovation and tenant reposition. Town Oaks is a 245 unit, $16.5 million acquisition in a tertiary market on a core plus strategy. We're 9% annual cash returns since the first quarter, and we're above our projected returns. And then the last one I'll point out is a new development in a qualified opportunity zone, 10 miles outside of Austin. Fantastic location, and this is a $52 million project, construction scheduled to begin very quickly. So the overall results on the IRR, equity multiple, and the yield are calculated from the sold projects, and those averages are 21.4% IRR average, 1.84 equity multiple average. The yields are calculated over all of my returns, and they've got 8.7% yield. The last thing to point out for asset management is we're really pioneering in the opportunity zones. So those are things that we're very proud of and things that we're trying to be thought leaders and category kings on. So that's the first component of successful investing: asset management, investor relations, real estate strategy, and executing those correctly as they adjust over the real estate market and cycle. The second component of successful real estate investing is property management and operations. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is rent collection. This is expense control. This is tenant qualification. This is repairs and maintenance. These are the items that can make or break successful real estate operations. We're very skilled. We're very fortunate to have one of the best property management companies working together collectively as a team in Pilot Legacy. And that's Walker Holder Residential. Michael Walker founded that company almost 10 years ago. And I'm going to call the next slide up and go over some of the phenomenal results that he's been able to put on the scoreboard. So as I call this slide up here, I'd like to bring to your attention, one, you can just see how difficult or how many properties he's managed. In fact, he's managed 93 different assets. Those numbers relate to almost 18,000 units under management, a phenomenal number in the last years of his ownership, 11 years. Furthermore, Michael is the former president of the Apartment Association of Tarrant County that represents all the apartments in the county of Tarrant County. Like I mentioned already, he personally has worked with on the development team to develop 2,763 units over his extensive experience. He's been appointed the court-appointed receivership in 16 different occasions. What does that mean? That means when a property goes under foreclosure or trouble and the bank or the lender wants it back, they will go to court and they will receive ownership of that. But oftentimes they're not capable of managing it, and so the court will appoint a manager in receivership status, and Michael's been appointed that receivership status on 16 different times. That's a testament to his ability to manage, his experience, and also his ability to go into a troubled property and figure out what the problem was and resolve that. The Walker Holder residential component of that has a staffing of 35 employees, 6 corporate staff that consist of a certified public accountant, a certified asset property specialist, a real estate manager, HR, and HP positions too. On the table there, as you see, those are the assets that Michael and his team have managed before, and it's just, again, a very impressive amount. So I just want to emphasize that second component of investment success, Pilot Legacy, is extremely advantaged in that regard, because most of the time the asset manager will third party out property management. And sometimes they do a fantastic job, and that's not a hit on them by any means, but they have no ownership in making that asset really perform well. In the case of Pilot Legacy, we don't third-party management. Michael handles third-party management for us. You can see his resume, you can see his qualifications, you can see the staff. The results speak for themselves. He's got the ability, he's got the staff, and he's got the talent to do that. And this is the other thing. So now as we're taking over these troubled assets, and we're taking over, or a quality asset, it doesn't really matter, is the property manager has ownership, not only in making the property do well, but his own investment dollars are part of the investment. So that's a tremendous benefit to you as an investor, with knowing with confidence that, one, my property manager is personally connected to this investment that I'm offering. The last part of that component of successful real estate investing that I talked about is construction management, repair, and maintenance. When you're buying assets, they're obviously going to break, they're going to wear out, parts are going to be broken, parts are going to be damaged and worn out. And so to repair those timely, accurately, correctly is a tremendous need and requirement to satisfy the tenants and to keep the property in good shape. Again, most asset managements or most investment groups third party that out. Let's go get the local electrician. Let's go hire the local plumber. One, That plumber may not be dedicated completely to that project. He may have, and he probably has many other clients that he's servicing, so the timeliness of that service call may or may not be convenient. Furthermore, hopefully I'm sure he's going to do a prideful job, but he has no interest or ownership interest in doing that job well, other than just reflecting on his own business endeavors. And then lastly, he may not be concerned necessarily with price or holding expenses to a reasonable level. So, Pilot Legacy Construction is owned by Edwin. Edwin is part of our partnership, and Edwin has skin in the game, Edwin has ownership in the game, and Edwin is there to make sure that that's done to the best quality at the best price. So I'd like to bring this last slide up and talk a little bit about that and about what Edwin has done with Legacy Construction. So this slide is just a simple explanation, and again, the property repairs and maintenance is very important. So Edwin and Rodolfo are the last two partners on our team, and they've got a combined 50 years of experience in the real estate industry, 25 years in each, or each of them have that. Edwin formed Legacy Construction 10 years ago for the exclusive focus of multifamily repair and renovations. He's operated in multiple states, Texas and all the surrounding states. He's operated in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, even in Hawaii. So his ability to operate out of the local area has been proven successful. Annually, in the last 5 years, he has averaged $7 million in repair, maintenance, and renovation of multifamily assets. And that's about 15 projects per year. So you can see the experience that he has there. He's also worked extensively with insurance claims negotiations and settlement. He's got advanced experience in asbestos mitigation and other advanced things that are just complicated construction projects. And again, he's a pioneer in Opportunity Zone as well. So anyway, in wrapping up there, I know I've covered a lot today and I've given you a lot of details, but details and results speak for themselves. My football coach used to always challenge us by saying when we would get into a talking match with the other team, the only thing you needed to do was point to the scoreboard and the results prove themselves. Hopefully today you've seen the tables that we've generated for you, that those results speak for themselves, and those results vet the things that we're mentioning to you. Those things give us credibility in bringing a pro forma or bringing an investment to the table, because we have experience in those primary areas of real estate investing. So I'm looking forward to bringing offerings to you. I'm looking forward to bringing the exciting purchasing of multifamily investments and how investing can help you reach your financial goals and help you become a better millionaire.